Hey YouTube, Alex Conley here today with another video, and before we get into it, I want to appreciate you taking the time to check out my channel, check out my videos, and yeah, thank you for watching. I'm really enjoying making these videos, and it's been a rewarding process so far. So in today's video, we're going to go ahead and get into it. What should you not bring on a flight to Asia? Now, I'm going to presume that you're coming from a Western country and that you're not flying within Asia. If you're already living in Asia, you probably know more about inter-Asia travel than I do. And so this is probably not going to apply to you. But let's say you're coming from US, UK, Canada, Australia, Israel, etc. I guess Israel is part of Asia, but anyway, what should you bring? So first off, you're going to have your passport. If you want to go from one country to another, for the most part, you will need a passport. And this is something that you'll need to fill out forms unique to your country. You'll need to possibly visit an immigration office. You'll need to have photographs taken that can be used to make your passport. You'll need to have all these things in order. So first off, get your passport and make sure that you have it secured in your baggage or on your person so that you can show customs officials this document. Next, you'll want to make some copies. So I like to have digital copies. I have digital copies backed up on emails and on my online storage, and physical copies as well. You'll want some paper copies. In case you lose this document on your trip, you need to be able to have these because it will help speed up the process of replacement. You can replace your passport abroad. I have not done it. I'm not the expert on that, but having paper and digital copies will not work against you when it comes to something like that. And even then, it's just nice to have. For some reason, you need to check the number on it because you're filling out some kind of I don't know, paperwork, or you're needing your passport number and you don't have it memorized. This can help. Next, you'll want to have cash to cover your first few weeks. Now, I don't believe in bringing cash to cover your whole trip. Let's say you're going abroad for 3 months. Probably don't need to carry $3, $4, $5, $6,000 cash on you. Bring enough cash for the first couple weeks, and then do what I do. I recommend the Charles Schwab bank account, and create an account with them because they actually reimburse you for international ATM fees. So once you land in your country and you've been there for a few days, maybe a week, then pull out like a month's worth of cash or something like that. But you don't need to constantly worry about running out of money. There's ATMs around the world, particularly if you're in the majority of tourist destinations, the majority of metro areas. It's not going to be impossible for you to find an ATM. And the reason I say this is you don't want to lose all that cash. If you budgeted a certain amount for your trip, let's say you lose your bag, or you for some something gets stolen, you don't want to be out all that money. So carry a reasonable amount of money on you to cover emergencies. Carry a reasonable amount to cover your weekly expenses, but don't bring all the money you'll need. And if it's over 10,000, you may have to declare it, and that can just get really messy because then there's questions about why you're bringing 10,000 or more into another country. So yeah, just have that Charles Schwab account so you can get reimbursement for your fees, and that way you'll have a little bit more security in that regard. Next, I'm going to talk about visas. If you're not getting a visa on arrival, that is, if your country's passport does not allow you to have free visa on arrival or paid visa on arrival, make sure you organize that before you leave. Make sure you give yourself several weeks in advance to organize that visa. I know for India, for US citizens, it could take 7 to 10 days to get a visa for India. So if you're planning on going to India, don't just get on the flight and show up at the airport and say, okay, I'm ready for my stamp. They're going to send you back to the United States. So make sure that, depending on the country you're going to, The few that I could think of off the top of the head that don't give visa on arrival to U.S. citizens would be India, Russia, China, these three countries, and there's others as well. Get that organized before you go. Organize it several weeks in advance and have copies and have that on your person, so that before you even leave the States, when the airline's asking you, hey, do you have the visa for this country? Did you know that to go to this country, not just for transit, but to actually stay in this country to get through customs, you're going to need a visa? You can say, yes, I've got the visa, I filled out the paperwork, here's my information, and you'll be good to go. So that's really important. That's like right behind the passport. In terms of importance, you have to have your visa situation organized, and even if it's visa on arrival, figure out what that looks like. Figure out how that's going to be. If it's not free of charge, you may have to have exact change. I know in Cambodia they want $30 US on arrival, so have a $20 and a $10 bill on you so you can pay the exact amount, and there's no questions, no additional questions. You just, you're ready to go. You're not trying to find an airport in the Cambodian airport. You're not trying to, figure out, oh, well, they gave me big bills and how many, all this and that. Just be prepared. Realize that you're going to need to have a working understanding of how the visa system works before you commit to your trip, book your trip, and all of that. Next, I like to bring earplugs. Some places can be quite loud. Sometimes if you're on an airplane, you're on a long haul flight, and there's kids that are uncomfortable with the flying experience. They might be yelling, making a lot of noise. Earplugs can help mitigate some of this. And following up on earplugs, I like to bring these with me. You'll probably see me wear these in pictures if you're on my friends list, but I like to bring these Bose noise canceling earphones, and they have active noise cancellation, and they help cut down some of the noise. So in some places that are really noisy, some countries that might be pretty noisy, certain cities that might be noisy and busy, this helps me focus and not just be overwhelmed by the chaos. So I really like earplugs, and I really like these noise canceling earphones when I'm traveling abroad, even traveling within the States or within my own city. But particularly when I'm going abroad, they can be really, really nice luxury. Next, moving on, keep in mind that if you are taking any medication, you need to bring a doctor's note and prescription, perhaps even some basic medical records, in case you have these types of things and you're going through customs, so that you can prove that these are necessities. This is especially true if they're narcotic medications, if they're substances of abuse. Certain countries are extremely strict and prohibitive about their drug policies, and so you want to make sure that you're following their rules and do research as well. If you know you're taking a certain medication that's controversial, Google the country that you're going to and Google people's experiences to make sure that you're educated. I'm not a medical doctor, I'm not a physician, I'm not a pharmacist, so I cannot be counted on for this type of legal medical advice. So in that regard, be careful, do your own research ahead of time. Don't just assume you can just put your medication in your bag and go on through with no questions asked. Western countries tend to have a little bit more leniency on some of these things than some other countries do in Asia. Next, so copies of your reservation. So if you have reserved different hotel rooms, then make a copy of that, print it out, so that if you need to show a cab driver and your phone's dead, that you can say, oh, hey, well, here's the address right here. If you need to show customs or for whatever reason, this hasn't come up to me, but it's nice to have a backup. You can say, oh, here, I'm staying at X, Y, and Z hotels. I'm staying at this location, this other location, and it becomes a lot less complicated. Next, you want to have your receipts, even if it's just digital, of ticket purchases. So some countries do not want you to fly into that country without proof that you're going to leave within the allowance of the visa. So from my understanding, Thailand, just as an example, is kind of picky about this because there have been cases of people overstaying their visas, overstaying the legal allowance for the duration of their stay, and abusing the system. And so they want to know that, not only are you going to come and enjoy your visit, but you also have plans to leave and you have the ability to leave. So you have proof that on a certain date, you're going to get on the flight and go on. So you may consider having that ready in case a customs official asks you, hey, how are you leaving? How are you getting out of here? You'll be able to just say, oh, well, on such and such a date, I'm getting on this plane and going to another country. It doesn't have to be home. You don't have to be flying back to the United States. But you need to at least have something shown. Well, from this point I'm flying to this other country outside of Thailand, and you guys won't have to worry about me anymore. And this is proof that I am leaving on this date. Next, you may want to get an international driving permit. So I purchased mine through AAA. It was like $20. I haven't used it yet, but even if you don't have plans to drive, even if you don't have plans to ride a bike, or to use it, it may come in handy, and it's going to be easier to get in your home country than to get abroad. So that's something that if you are traveling to Asia, that you may want to get that international driving permit. It provides you an extra layer of security. I'm not an attorney. I don't know what all it covers, but from my understanding, it can be a helpful document to have. Next, if you are going to a country with very limited English or known difficulty with English, Japan, I had some challenges communicating with people at times in Japan. Consider keeping a little printout of some basic phrases. Consider printing out, hello, thank you, I'm sorry, where's the restroom, basic things like that. And that way you're not scrambling, trying to pantomime and do all this and that to communicate with somebody that doesn't understand your language and you don't understand their language. And trust me, I wish I had done this. I made a note to do this. I forgot to do it. I just didn't get around to it. And I wish I had brought some little basic phrases to some of these places that I've been. So finally, not something that I hope ever happens to anyone, but keep some emergency contact information on yourself. In the case that you get in a motorbike wreck, in the case that you hit your head on something, in the case a coconut falls out of a tree and hits you in the head, in any emergency situation, you want to have some emergency contact information on yourself. You want to have a way that if you're incapacitated or injured or hurt, that there will be a way for individuals to notify the proper people, to notify your home country, perhaps to know what embassy to contact. And once again, I hope this doesn't happen to anybody and nobody needs this, but it's worthwhile keeping this emergency contact info on you in case something does happen. It's really exciting to travel. It can be really fun to travel to Asia. There's a lot of different cool countries, cultures, food, people, but it's not always fun and games and good times. There are some risks to traveling, and I think that this list has provided some things that when you're just talking about flight, before you get on your flight, some of the things that you can do to take with you to prepare. I think these things are worth considering. So thank you for watching. My name's Alex Connolly. I'm making videos on different subjects, and this is kind of part of my travel series, expat, immigrant, sort of lifestyle choice series. So if you enjoyed this video, definitely give me a thumbs up and subscribe to check out some of my other videos, and I will see you next time.